Hari Om, Bhaja Govindam chanting, verses 21 to 25.
पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे रथ्याचर्पटविरचितग्रन्थः पुण्या पुण्यविवर्जितपन्थः योगी योगनियोजितचित्तो रमते बालोन्मत्तवदेव कस्त्वं कोऽहं कुतायातः कामे जननी को मे तातः इति परिभावय सर्वमसारं विश्वं त्यक्त्वा स्वप्नविचारम् त्वयि मयि चान्यत्रैको विष्णुः व्यर्थं कुप्यसि मय्यसहिष्णुः भवसमचित्तः सर्वत्र त्वं वाञ्छस्य चिराद्यदि विष्णुत्वम् शत्रौ मित्रे पुत्रे बन्धौ मा कुरु यत्नं विग्रहसन्धौ सर्वस्मिन्नपि पश्यात्मानं सर्वत्रोत्सृज भेदाज्ञानम्
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करमावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति. Science, they explain it in one way. In physics, they explain it in one way. In biology, they'll explain it in another way. Now, each subject accounts world in a different way. In Vedanta, we see the world being defined. Very, popular one is these two things, well-known terminologies to refer to the world. One is dvandvas, means pairs of opposite. World that you experience is made up of what's dvandvas, opposites. Similarly, another popular definition for world is nama rupa, names and forms. What is this world made up of? Nama rupa. That's all. That is the world. So you make an inquiry into these two things. So when we say the nature of the world, what we have to do is we get into the inquiry of the nature of nama rupa and the nature of dvandvas, opposites. We don't do this analysis like how they do in science, because that's not their definition of world. The definition of world we need to get first. What is meant by world in Vedanta? Philosophically, world means only these two things, dvandvas, opposites. Opposites means what? You take one and reject the other. That's called opposite. You take one side and reject the other side. This is called opposites. You see? Similarly, nama rupa. What is nama rupa? Name and forms. What is the difference? Just a name. That's it. One fellow call it as tanni. Another fellow calls it as pani. Another fellow calls it as water. And these three fellows are fighting. what is it to be called? What is it, sir? Names. You just give it a name in that particular language. That's all. Similarly, we use the word Brahman. One fellow uses the word moksha. Another fellow uses the word nirvana. Another fellow uses the word samadhi. Another fellow uses another word. Another person uses another word. It's all words. That's all. Names being given. That's about it. Why Upanishads did not use the word nirvana? Why Buddha did not use the word samadhi? Why Patanjali did not use the word moksha? That's not our problem. Now he uses a word, you need to understand what he means, full stop. you know, or else the difference is only because of what? All the heterogeneous variety that we are experiencing is nothing but a different permutation combination. That's about it. Ultimately, every car is what? All cars do the same job. What is it, sir? Take you from point A to point B safe. That's all. That's all the job of a car. But then there are so many varieties in that. What is it? Rupa. That's all. Just that form. Just a dent a little here, a little tinkering there, little shade of this side, glass of this shape, that shape. That's all it is. What is it, sir? Vedanta says, what's the difference? Nama Rupa. It's all same thing. So when you inquire into this, we recognize various names have been given. Now, names have been given by us actually. That doesn't carry any name itself. We have given it a name. Rupas are variable, but essentially that substance is the same thing. Now that's where chemistry will say everything is because of chemical. Physics will say everything is atom. It's all just electrons, protons, neutrons. That's it, nothing else. So it will reduce everything into this. Now Vedanta will reduce everything into something else. You see, again, what is it, sir? Words. Different words we use. Different names being given. Different forms. Slightly different this side, slightly different that side. All same thing. That recognition, this understanding will give you a tremendous maturity. Now, dvandvas, you understand the dvandvas, you penetrate into the dvandvas, you understand what's a. Essentially, they are not opposites. They are the same thing. It's the same thing, actually speaking. When the water is flowing, you say there are two banks of the river. But once the water dries, you recognize what? It's the same thing, isn't it? There's no difference. You can't remove the one and retain the other. All our life, what are we doing there? We wanting to eliminate one side of the bank and retain the other side of the banks. That is not a river. Water cannot flow there. It is not possible. It has to have the two, and both were connected. In fact, you recognize that only after the river gets dried up. You can't see before that. To see the river bed, water has to recede. Water has to come down. Only then you understand it's the same. Otherwise, you think there are two different things standing independently. This is here, this is here. Obviously, sir, there is no connection. What? This is left side, this is right side. This is different, that is different. This is different, that is different. All that opposites that you experience. And what is very interesting in this opposites is at any given point of time of your life, you stand on one and reject the other. That's all. I like this so much. Understood is what? You dislike something. It is impossible that you have a like without a corresponding dislike. If you say that I like India, understood is what? I don't like. Every one of you would have been referred to what? Pakistan, isn't it? Why don't you say Zimbabwe? I like India. I don't like Zimbabwe, sir. No, you will not say that. Correct? Why? Siberia. Name after I refer only you remember the country. The moment you say India, immediately what comes? Israel, Palestine, straight away. Isn't it? You don't get any other way. Why is it that? If the thoughts were ingrained so much, this is the problem of life. Opposites. When you take to one without saying, you are rejecting the other. Therefore, we say, don't get into it. Understand, it's just the opposites. You're just carrying. You take to this side or you take to that side. You take to this side or you take to that side. In this oscillation, life is called the life of samsara. Oscillating between the opposites, dvandvas. Similarly, you are caught up in this belief of nama rupa. Just the name and form, that's it. Just a name. You fall for it. Like all that you require had to be told is what? This is a Nike shoe. You pay for it, isn't it? How many of us can identify the original Nike from the duplicate ones? Many times you can't recognize that. It looks very similar, actually. You can't recognize. All that you subscribe, you pay based on what? Name. Names and forms. What is it? That's what he said earlier, no? In the same text, Bhajagovindam. Hari sthanabara nabhidesham. Krishtva maha moha vesha. What is it? Just a combination. That's all. One look at it, you go frenzied. Delusion. You get into. Why? Rupa. Combination. Permutation combination of it. You fall for it. Just inquire into it, man. Make that inquiry. You start that inquiry. Who am I? From where I have come? What is the reality of the world? You penetrate into it and understand. Instead of that, you grow impatient. So going through this, you get impatient, you get angry with me and say you are repeating the same thing. At least I would have got about 15 comments yesterday after Swamiji's talk. Swamiji said the same thing. You think he's Ishwaran or what? To keep on saying something new. Repeating the same thing, you will grow impatient. You will get angry. Typical one is this. I say, beautifully he says in Bhajagovindam, in vain you are getting angry with me. Yartham, he says, in vain. It's a waste. Because even if you get angry, he is not going to change. He will continue to do the same thing. He will repeat the same thing. He will teach. The message will not change. It's the same message. Same message, same message, same message. Repeating the same, which means what? You are not grown, that's all. You grow, they will change. When you are not growing, how can they change? You got to pass, 7th standard, no, for you to be admitted in the 8th standard. Again and again, you keep failing. You have to do the same thing again and again only. CA. You have to repeat that CA exam again and again and again till you pass. Now you can't say, what is it that you are teaching the same thing? Okay. Pass this man first. Then he will teach you the next syllabus. You go on failing. Have you attained that detachment? Till you get detached, you will go on saying attachment, attachment, attachment. The repetition, you will get irritated. For those who have not heard him, those who are hearing him only 5-6 times, will maintain that inspiration. You hear him about, 15, 20 times, 30, 40 times, 100 times, 200 times, 250 times you listen to his lectures. What will happen to you? He'll say, I think he doesn't know. I think Ishwaran knows more than him. Is a conclusion you will come to. And the Ishwaran should be knowing more than Swamiji. Why? Because he's saying every class is different. This man, 250 classes I have attended. Same thing he has been saying. Why? That's what a master will do. He will go on repeating the same thing. Now, how can you patiently listen to that same thing again and again? You see, now, Shankara is not, angry or anything, please. He is explaining, please remember, this is bound to happen. If it is not happening, means you are not listening. You see, if it is not happening, then you are not listening at all. You should get into this impatience. With impatience, what you do will define everything. With that impatience, you should continue. Many a times what happens is, you get that impatience, you pack off and leave. Then growth will not happen. That is what he is saying here. In vain you are angry with me, being impatient. No. The way to gain is this. Remember, in life, it's not the problem of your this one. Now go back to basic principle. This is, why is it that you are not pursuing God? You don't pursue God. Okay. You don't go to the temple and say, I want realization. Why you are not pursuing realization? No, very simple in life. Bhagavad Gita has got 18 chapters. Okay. That 18 chapters, more than about 12 chapters, there is one thought he will go on repeating. 12 chapters, central theme is same thought. What he says, central idea of all the chapters is, you gain what you pursue. You get what you pursue. That's all. What are you pursuing today? You are not pursuing God. Why you are not pursuing God? Because you don't have a desire for God. Why you are not having desire for God? See, if you have a desire for God, nobody has to come and tell you to pursue God. You will pursue automatic, isn't it? You are pursuing wealth. Why are you pursuing wealth? Why are you pursuing name? Why are you pursuing fame? Has anyone came and told you? Every day you have to attend the class to tell you, you have to pursue name, you have to pursue wealth, you have to pursue wealth. No. You've been pursuing that, right? Now, has anyone come to tell you that you have to pursue enjoyment? No one has to come and tell you, no, to pursue enjoyment. Almost automatically you are pursuing enjoyment. How? Without anyone coming and telling you, you are pursuing it. How is it that you are pursuing the world? Whereas, any number of times you hear you have to pursue God, it's not happening. Why? Don't you understand God is bigger than world? You will say what? Of course, God is bigger than world. Then which one you should be pursuing? You will get what you pursue anyway. Right? So, whatever you ask will be granted to you. That's what Christ says. Knock, it shall be opened. But you have to go and knock. Which door you have to knock is in your hands. You see, one door is world, one door is God. You say what? God is bigger than world. But still you will go and knock at the doors of what? World only. You don't go and knock at the doors of God. Even if you go and knock at the doors of God, it is only to ask Him to open the doors of the world, not the kingdom. You don't enter. You knock at the door and He opens a door to heaven. You say what? God, please come. Help me to open the doors of the world. And He says what? I will do that also. You don't worry. Height of compassion. God is so compassionate. He says, don't worry, man. I will help you on that also. Whatever you pursue. The question is, why is it that you are not pursuing? See, the problem is what? There is no proper, you don't desire God. How do you develop a desire? How did you develop a desire for that car? How did you develop a desire for this house? How did you develop a desire for the position? That girl I want to marry. How did you develop the desire for that girl or for that boy? Constant thinking, isn't it? That girl, that girl, that girl, that girl, that girl. After a period of time, what had happened, sir? You have thought about it so much. So even if you don't want to think, the thought will come. Isn't it? I've thought about it so much earlier. Today, what is it, sir? Helplessly, that thought keeps coming even if I don't want that thought. Now, do you get the thoughts like that with reference to God? You're not getting it like that. Why? Because you have never repeated that thought of God directly. This is what I ask. How many times directly you had developed a thought for God in a day? From morning till now, how many thoughts you would have got with reference to God? Vis-a-vis, how many thoughts you would have got with reference to the world? If you would have developed about 5 or 6 thoughts deposited with reference to God, extraordinary. All the thought we get is only with reference to what? To the world only. About the world only, you keep getting it again and again and again and again. So when you go to the master, what is he supposed to do? What you are not doing, he will do on your behalf, isn't it? What is it that you are not doing? You have to repeat the thought of God. When you are not repeating the thought, you go to him. Now what is he supposed to do? He is supposed to repeat the same thing again and again and again. But the problem for us is what? We can't stand that. Why? It's not engaging. It's not entertaining initially. So therefore what will happen, sir? You will grow impatient. And then what will happen? You get frustrated. You get angry with him, saying what? You are repeating the same thing. Wherever there is a repetition, you get bored. You get bored, you will drop it. This is bound to happen. You can't, you cannot escape. You can't, move away from that. The repetition, repeating. I remember when you are reading a textbook, there is a context. The context for the teaching is always a student for the teacher. Right? Now, who is a student? Based on that, the teacher will change his teaching methodology. And you find there are 3 types of students. Okay. One is Muda, is a fool. Then there is ignorant. Then there is knowledgeable. There are three types of students. One who is a fool, and another person is ignorant. What is the difference there between a fool and an ignorant? Ignorant fellow says, I am ignorant. The fool says what? The fool doesn't know that he is ignorant. That's called a fool. The foolery of the mind. Now, the scriptures were designed to remove the foolery of the mind. That's what the scriptures are. Scriptures were addressed to that group mainly. Then you come to people who have come to this recognition. You drop the foolery and you come to the next level. Next level is what, sir? You become ignorant. You see? Then comes a fellow who is knowledgeable. Now you can't tell him he doesn't know. See? You can't say he doesn't know. He knows everything. That is Upanishadic student. See? Upanishadic level student is that. He is not ignorant. Upanishadic student is not an ignorant person. He is highly evolved and a highly knowledgeable fellow he is. It's not he doesn't know. He knows everything. That's what we see in Chandogya Upanishad. When Narada goes to Sanat Kumara for instruction, Sanat Kumara asks him, okay, now tell me what is it that you have studied? And Narada goes on giving the subjects in which he has got PhD. How many degrees he has got? He says, I've got degrees in that, degree in this, masters this, master this, master this, master that. After mastering all those things, I have mastered Vyakarana Shastra also, he says. And Vyakarana itself, they say, they are supposed to have been 9 Vyakaranas. Vyakarana means grammar. In Sanskrit language, they had 9 Vyakaranas, 9 grammar books, 9 grammar systems. You can imagine how rich that language must have been. To have 9 grammar schools. English doesn't have that much. You see, English grammar is not much actually. It must have been in practice for a long period of time in different places. Only then you will have different grammars for it. These were at 9. And Narada says, I have studied all that. Even Hanuman is supposed to be the one who is expert in all the 9 schools of grammar. Hanuman also. Nava Vyakarana Panditi is, they say. Is very knowledgeable. One Vyakarana you study, you will go mad. You will go half crack. Second Vyakarana you study, which means what? You got to forget the first Vyakarana, go to the second Vyakarana. How can you do that? That's why before you find fault, like this agamas, the textbooks which define about the temple and all that, they're supposed to have been 24 agama shastras, out of which many are not available now. The textbooks are not available. But without studying all these things, there are people who tell, this temple is not according to agama shastra. Now, which agama shastra you have studied? You have never studied any agama shastra. And even if you have studied the agama shastra, you have studied only the shastra which is available today. Right? There are so many Agama now, because today we have got only 2 Agama Shastras. Only 2 are available in the market. The rest of the 22 is gone, forgotten. Where it is, why it's all gone, been destroyed. Right. Now, maybe according to that Agama, they could have created, they could have built it. Now, if it is not fitting into this, doesn't mean immediately that is wrong. We don't know. That is a second level of the student who says, I don't know. Hey, I am ignorant, sir. Then comes the third level, Upanishadic student, who says, I have covered all that. It is not that I don't know that. I have covered everything. But still, that is missed by me. How is it? See, that is why in the 13th chapter, Arjuna asks many questions. But of all the questions, one question is superb in that. He says, Krishna, tell me what is jnanam? He says, what is jnanam and what is jneyam? He says, what is to be known and what is knowledge? Please tell me what is knowledge. Very, very interesting that is. This is Arjuna level, Gita level. Bhajagovindam is what, sir? Addressed to a fool. Bhagavad Gita addressed to a fool just transcends the foolery and got into ignorant. Then comes a long way to go to become a knowledgeable person. Then you move on to the Upanishads. This is the graduation. So the teachings, when you go, they classified these things into 3 different compartments. They said books defined for foolery, to remove the foolery of the mind, one group. To remove ignorance, another group. To knowledgeable, another set, another style of teaching. The textbooks will vary, the style of teaching will vary, not because of the teacher, because of the student. Now, Bhajagovindam falls into that category of text where it is addressing to the fool, addressed to a fool. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhaja, Mudhamate. Oh, fool, it says. It's addressed to a fool. Remember, keep that in the background and study. Right. Bhagavad Gita is not, Bhagavad Gita equation is very different. Now you can't say Arjuna a fool, nor can you say Arjuna is very learned, knowledgeable. You can't say both with reference to Arjuna. So the text here is that. So he gives this very, the scriptures were organized in this fashion. So Bhajagovindam falls into this category of text to remove that, delusive belief that I understand. And that is why he is asking those questions. Who are you? What do you know of yourself? Who is your father? Who is your mother? Make that inquiry. And don't get impatient. So when you practice this, then you get this growth. Yes. Verse 25. Shatrau mitre putre bandhav ma kuru yatnam vigrahasandhav smar sarvasminnapi pashyatmanam sarvatrotsrija bhedajnanam. Do not get involved in antagonizing or allying with enemy, friend, relative, or son. See the self in everything, everywhere. Cast away ignorance, causing diversity. Do not get involved. We don't know who gave this mantra. Directly, we don't have the name. So they have included this in Moha Mudgara Sesha. They say it's an ancillary. One more verse added. So do not get involved in antagonizing or allying. Both don't do that, he says. Vigraha santho. Grahana means attracted, pulling towards. Vigraha is repulsion. You don't repel, with people, nor you santo means you go and join, unite with them. Do not antagonize or going on getting attached. Neither antagonism nor attachment. Both you should not have. With whom gives 4 different relationships: enemy, friend, relative, son. Moves from the furthest to the closest. The furthest form is what, sir? Enemy. Right? Enemy circle. Then you have the friend circle. Then you have a relative circle. Then you have a son. My own. You see? A son means you take it as family. You see? Immediate family, extended family, then friends, then enemies. That's all. This is the 4 broad classification of grades of relationships. The grades of relationships is classified on what basis? Duryodhana is enemy for Bhima. Arjuna. For Karna, what is he? Right. Karna is enemy for Arjuna. But for Duryodhana, he is a friend. You see, that is the difference. How that has come into picture? Not inherently. That's what happened to Yudhishthira. After the Mahabharata war and all is over, they started doing their final rites for all the dead, Pinda, they have to give, for all those people who are dead in the war, have to give Pinda Tarpanam has to be done. The final rites, ceremony to be done. When he was about to do that, when he was started doing it, Kunti called Yudhishthira and said, give one for Karna also. He said, why should I do? Karna is already included in the general category. All the others category is there. That's what we do. Whenever we do this Tarpanam, very, very interesting. I do for my father, for my grandfather, or my great-grandfather. And then my grandmother, since my mother is alive. Well, if my mother is not there, then for my mother, a grandmother, great-grandmother. Similarly, my mother's side also. This is 3. And then we will say, Jnata Ajnata Vargadvayad, we say. Means the known and the unknown people pertaining to this, to my relatives, for all those people. And then after finishing all these things, finally what is he supposed to do, sir? They say, for all those people who are not my relatives, even for them I am doing this Tarpana, he has to do again one. Right? So there are 3 things, 3 levels they operate. First level is to my Pitrus, or my people. And then what I have to do, sir, to my people whom I may know, I may not know them, for all others. Then comes the general category. Even the outsiders who don't belong to my category, or they don't belong to my country, I don't know them, there is no relationship with them, nothing of that sort. Then for them also, for their things also, I am doing it. That's why it is so inspiring to do it. These rituals is so inspiring, how they have constructed, expanding the vision of a person, to take care of all those people also. This is responsibility. So even for their appeasement, I am doing all these things. So Yudhishthira says, in that category we have already included Karna, so not necessary. Kunti says, no, 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 you can't include him there. He has to be included in this category. He says, why? Yudhishthira gets totally confused. Why we should bring Karna to this category? You can't bring him to this category. Why? He is a Sutaputra. Right? Of course, he is a great warrior. There's no doubt about it. But you can't include him in this category. That is a time she reveals the truth that it is Karna is my son. So he is your elder brother. Now what happened to the relationship between Arjuna and Karna? You see that? Now how Arjuna is going to look at Karna? Very different, you see. Why, sir? All this is to do with what? These fellows had this great ego, these Pandavas. We brothers are always together. That's a desire of theirs. Come what may, these guys will be together only. Even in that Ajnadavasa, where they are supposed to live, without notice, incognito, they could have lived in 5 different countries, isn't it? You go to that country, I go to this country, you go to this country, you go to this country. Each one of us will live in different countries. And then after 1 year, we will meet again here. They could have decided. They said what? No, no, no. All 5 will go and live in one country, that too in one city, that too in one place. In the palace only. Government job was very easy, I think, in those days. The fellow walks in and says, I am like this type, okay, join. Next fellow comes in and says, I am like this, join. Next fellow comes and says, join. All 6, get employment straight away. I don't know how we get these days. Government job in the palace, straight away they have been appointed. Suddenly, what had happened to Arjuna now? Yudhishthira now? Who is Karna for Yudhishthira now? Remember, all the relationships that you are entertaining, various grades that you are giving for relationships, they are not inherent in that. Then it is with reference to your desires, based on your likes and dislikes, particularly your like. Your relationships are due to what? Not to that person. Your relationship to that person is because of your desires. You have that desire, therefore you maintain that relationship. That's it. It doesn't make a difference. Like I had one, very, I feel very uncomfortable when people say, but after this, I realized, yeah, that man made a lot of sense to me. One of our person here, he told me, he is the, first one who, my memory, I think he's the first one who started calling me, Swamiji. Even Swamiji in the academy, we used to address him only as sir. When I was studying the course, and I was studying under him, hardly I would have called him Swamiji. Sir is how, we used to address. He doesn't go through all those things. They're all waste of, terminologies. After I came to Bangalore, this man started calling me Swamiji. I said, if he calls me Swamiji, what should I call that man then? After that, I went and told him. But then, Swami said, Nada, there's no meaning in this now. You call me Swamiji, I'm feeling uncomfortable, he said. Because already we have been in relationship for more than about, 6 years now. We've been very close. Being a disciple. When I say close, what I mean is being a disciple as a student. He said, hey, now you call me Swamiji, I don't feel like turning around. If you call me. But then I told him, what this man told me. This is not my idea, but he gave me that idea. When he called me, I asked him. I said, hey, don't call me Swamiji and all that. Stop it. Call me by name. because you are elder to me. Because that man is very senior to me. I said, you call me by name. Don't even call me sir. It looks not looking nice for me. Because I was talking about, I was 26, 24, 24, 25 at that time. So it's like, this man is already crossing 55. Now he's like my father figure. Now he calls me sir. I said, sir, how can you call? I can call you. You call me, it makes no sense. But then he gave a beautiful reply for that. I have not seen, that's why the original thinking, of those people. Beautiful feeling. It hit me so hard, that, answer of the reply of his. He said, it won't make any difference to you. It makes a difference to me, he said. I said, yeah. It struck me like, correct. It doesn't make any difference to that person. What I call him doesn't make any difference to him. If I go and say, Pacha, it's not going to make any difference to him, because I've seen a lot of people calling him. So what? There are people who come and address, Mr. Patsadi, they say, yeah, correct. It doesn't make any difference to him. You call him Pacha, you call him Mr. Patsadi, you call him Sir, you call him Swamiji, it doesn't make any difference to him. But as this man said, I said, correct, no, it makes a difference to us, isn't it? You see, when I call him that, what happens in me? Right? I said, correct. Then from where that relationships are formed, not depending on that person. You say, you go to the temple and say, is it marble or a stone? One impact it has on your mind. You say, fantastic architectural beauty, different impact it has on your mind. You say, it is so divine, as an impact. When you do all three doesn't make any difference to that statue, isn't it? To the statue, it doesn't make any difference. But these three different attitudes will make a lot of difference to those three people. Now you have a choice to decide which attitude you are going to take. After that, all of us started calling him Swamiji. Whether he likes it or not, he says, hey, Felix initially was saying, now you guys call. First day itself, you would have called me, I would say yes. Suddenly you start calling, I am feeling uncomfortable. He said, nothing. It makes a difference to us. We can't afford to lose that. What we recognize there, sir, it's nothing to do with the person. That is where we divide the whole world into two categories. I said beginning, we divide the world in dvandvas, opposites. What's opposite, sir? These people are favorable towards me. These people are unfavorable, hostile group. There is a favorable group. There is a hostile group. In my relationships, always I have these two categories. They're reliable group, unreliable group. You can't rely on these people. On what basis we come to the conclusion, sir? Opposites. And that's what he is giving here as two sets. Son, relative, one group. Friend, enemy, another group. See, maybe there are few people today will say, sir, son is also hostile only. All four today we have in the hostile group only, sir. Favorable group, we don't have anybody in the favorable group. Only, myself in the favorable group. That is also possible. Depending on what, sir? Depends on what? Depends on your desires. Remember, from how you are categorizing people, how you bracket them into different compartments. What is the undercurrent of all those things? Your raga, your likes, your preferences, your desires. See, He says, don't get involved with all this. Why? Because the moment you get involved in the relationships, invariably what happens there? You spend your energy. Every time you get involved with these people, you are losing your mental energy. You lose that. So he says, don't waste your energy in the fight, in the friction. All the time you have to go on reconciling. You have to go on explaining your stand, your positions, your actions, your motives. You have to go on explaining to them, convincing them, or you demand conviction, you demand explanation from those people for their actions, for their things. Either I have to go on explaining myself to you, or I wait for you to give explaining to my conviction, to my understanding. He says, why waste time? Don't get involved in this. So what will happen, sir? You don't have to fight, you don't have to reconcile. First, you got to fight and then compromise. Fight and then compromise. Fight and then compromise. Fight and then compromise. Shameless life. Husband and wife fight. After that, what? Shamelessly, the fellow will go next day to her and ask for a cup of coffee. And this lady also has no brains. She prepares and gives. Previous day, what they are doing? Bitterly fighting. You overhear that, it looked like, as though like cats and dogs, they fight. These two. And next day, what is it? Coffee? Coffee. Why you have to behave like this? He says, neither do this, nor do that. Very, very practical instruction on life. Why you should not do all these things there? Not to maintain your relationship better. That's what the difference is. Remember what he says, don't get into this, don't waste your energy on all these things. Why? Because if you spend your energy on these things, you will not have sufficient energy left in you for the pursuit of the higher. Now you need to pursue higher. When you need to pursue higher, you need tremendous energy. Your resources and your faculties should be available to be invested there. If you are spending it here, so what do you have to understand, sir? That is why you see these views, these programs and all that, YouTube, you look into, all political comments, discussions and all that, you looked at number of views. No matter who that fellow is, no matter what that guy is, what qualification he has, nothing, but you will find thousands of viewership. YouTube. Thousands. Right? Why? You take that newspaper, how many pages are there in newspaper, sir? How many pages are dedicated for politics? One page dedicated for economics. One page dedicated for sports. Entertainment. Right. Rest of the paper is what? Politics. Politics, politics, politics. Now, why politics have occupied our life so much? Wherever you go, politics, isn't it? Show me one organization where there is no politics. Why? Why politics have occupied our space so much of attention, so much of the discussions we have about political things? Why, sir? Feeds this antagonism. That's all. That is why they say, if you want to be good friends with people, two things you should not discuss: politics and religion. You can never have a discussion on politics and religion without fight. Not possible. Now go back and look into all that YouTubes that you can see anywhere in the world. Wherever there is a discussion, they are not discussing, they are fighting. Why, sir? That's what politics is. Why? Because essentially your mind craves for that political. Why? Your mind is a politician. As long as there are two minds, politics will be there. You don't find, you don't have to go anywhere. Look at your own house. You look into your own house, there is politics. Tremendous politics you will find within your own house. That is why slowly we are becoming nuclear family. Why there is nuclear family? What is the central idea of nuclear families, sir? Why we are not able to live together? Now we are coming to a position where we cannot live as husband and wife. So how we are going to live? Live in relationship. As long as okay, be there. One day I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me, you pack the bags and leave, or I pack the bags and leave, depending on in whose name the house is registered. If the house is registered in my name, you get out. House is registered in your name, I pack the bags and leave. That's all. Why we are not able to live together today, sir? So much of antagonism, so much of pressure, so much of problem in relationships. Why? Politics. What is politics, sir? Politics is I have to defend my position or I attack your positions in life. That's it. That's all politics is. So Shankara's advice here is what? He says, don't get into both, which means do not react to others' behaviors. Do not react to others' things. That's what politician is. Look at a politician. They will not react. You ask him any question, he will go on repeating. He will never hear your question, actually. Look into all those guys. They will not even hear. You call these people for discussions and all that, panels are there. There are 5 fellows this side, 5 fellows sitting there, and nobody will listen to the other person. Everyone will go on repeating whatever they are. Repeat. Why you are subscribed? Why you take in that unnecessarily? Why are you reacting to their behavior? That's what he always asks. You eat chili, you get stomachache. I can understand. He eats chili, you get stomachache. That's what we are all doing. How can he go wrong? Now, if he is wrong, let him suffer. No. What is your problem? You react. You reacting to others' things. He says, stop that. That reaction mentally. Now, we are not talking about behavioral reaction, please. We are talking about mentally reacting to what they are saying. What is their behaviors? What others are behaviors? Why do you do all this, sir? Because the foundation of your relationship is what? Raga. That creates this diversified relationships. You drop that raga, what will happen, sir? You will not have anyone like this. You take a stand of what, sir? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world becomes your family. Universal brotherhood becomes a practical realization for you. Why? You see your own reflection there. When you see your own reflection, how can you hate? Is it possible? That's why a mother can't hate a child, her child. How much ever bad that fellow could be, she will never hate him. Why? Because she sees that child as my own. That my own, that identification should be there. Now, today we don't have that identification. Then what will, even if you recognize that it is my own, what will happen? Like when the doctor says the infection has come to your leg, toe, and it needs to be amputated. If it is not amputated, it will spread, you will lose your leg. So we need to do the amputation. You don't happily agree to it. You hesitate. People hesitate to lose the toe. Why? My own. You see that? Even though it is infected and it is infecting the whole body, still you will feel what? Comfortable with it. You see? Whereas with people, what do you do? One gesture is enough. One comment one day they say is sufficient enough for you to sever that relationship. Remember, this is the first question we ask in life. Which relationship in your life which I cannot afford to clip away? That will define you. That's what very casually the person says. Tell me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. A friend means what, sir? What is that relationship which you can't do away with in life? Sir, if that relationship is not there, I will die. Can you? You see, that is what this great poet, Pisarandayar, a Tamil poet, was there. This man got to know that his friend, king, he decided, he made some mistake or something he did in his life. And that fellow said, I have to be punished. Now world cannot punish me because I'm the king. So I will inflict that punishment on myself. So what is the punishment for that, sir? He said, fast till death. This man sat and he was fasting till death. And he belonged to a different kingdom. He is a king of another kingdom. And this poet belongs to another kingdom, another country. And the beauty is, when the king sat, he told his ministers to keep one more seat next to him. He said, that seat is for whom? He said, my friend will come. They said, sir, a friend will come if you are inviting for a party. You say that I am hosting a party, a friend will come. Which friend is going to come and sit next to you for fasting till death? This man said, my friend will come, don't worry. Keep that post, keep that place. He kept there. After 1 week, this guy walks in and he goes and sits on that. And both of them fast to death and die on the same day. You see, that is called, relationship. You can't do away with. Like this movie, very dramatic, Ankaraparanam movie, if you see. That, heroine, the last scene, the Shankara Shastri dies. It's not that after Shankara Shastri dies, she dies. Tulasi, that character, she dies. No. As he is falling, she falls and dies. Amazing. That doesn't mean everybody should die. Okay. Now, don't say, oh, that means, then don't send a question to me. When are you going to sit for fasting till death? No. I will feast and die, not fast and die. You see. Oh, don't send a question immediately next after the class. Sir, please let us know when you are going to fast to death. I don't have any such intentions, please. You know, it doesn't mean just giving an example. You know, it's what, sir, that identification. Now, how do you recognize it? You can't do away with that relationship. See, what is that relationship which you can't do away with? Defines everything. It says, drop all this, man. Then what happens? See the self in everything, everywhere. Cast away that ignorance, causing diversity. You see that otherness. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya beautifully says, what causes fear in life? He says, otherness. You fear, all fears that you have in life is because of what? Otherness. You are different, I am different. You are different, I am different. You are different, I am different. Different, 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 different. Wherever there is a difference, there will be fear. It is not possible to live life fearless. Yajnavalkya beautifully explains. One of the fascinating Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, huge one. In that, he explains to Maitreyi, his wife. There's a portion that comes in that. Maitreyi Brahma comes is there. He is teaching his wife, Maitreyi. So Maitreyi asks questions, he gives answers to her. There, he says, all fear is why. That's otherness. What is the definition of hell? In heaven, Swarga, they say. Swarga definition, one fellow says, how one of the interpretations they give is Sa Varga is called Swarga. Means like-minded people live together. That is called Swarga. All same. Different fellows where to live. That is called Naraga. That is hell. Otherness. You are different, I am different. You are different, I am different. That is not, Swarga. That's opposite of it. That's called Naraga. Hell. You are in hell. You are in heaven when you are living with people where you feel that wonder. Immediately our argument will be what? That person doesn't feel. This is where the problem starts. Who should take the first step? Who should build the cat? You see, you have to take that first step. You feel that oneness, you are in Swarga. No matter what the other person is feeling, no matter what is happening on the other side. So he says, how do you start with? Don't waste your energy in fight. Don't start a fight and then somehow reconcile. Somehow find a balance and then come back to normalcy, only to fight again. And then few days, okay, everything goes fine. And then again what? Fight. Again fight. Again, whole life goes on only in attack and defense. No energy left out in you to pursue the higher. So what are you supposed to do, sir? Forget the politics around you. Wherever you are, there will be politics. Why, sir? Wherever there is mind, there will be politics. Human mind is a politician. Remember that. So you want to get away from politics, only method is what? Get away from mind. You go transcend mind. You are transcended all politics. Then no problems. Till then, what are you supposed to do? Unnecessarily don't react to others' behaviors. Why, sir? Because it will cause disturbance to you. Why we are having all these differences? Because of my desires. So what are you supposed to do? Have that non-differential equation. See the oneness everywhere. See you next class.